that it's paper. And I've long imagined that the perfect digital book reading platform would be a paper book. It would be exactly like a paper book, and it wouldn't need batteries. You could read it in the bathtub, but when you opened it, it would be whatever book you wanted it to be. And I somehow suspect that that's what we'll wind up with, because I suspect there are other examples in human history and culture of higher technological platforms assuming an existing format. But I could publish something online. I am published online, actually. I've been pirated for years. I think you could get any of my works for free, or you can get any of my works for the price of printing them out. I say cities are a form of wilderness, and how do I observe a city's nature? It's not so much, not so much wilderness, but simply natural. It's, Manhattan and a beehive are both built by animals. So I've never seen cities as unnatural. I think actually that I've pretty much always assumed that if there were no cities, there'd be no technology. Cities are stacked on so many layers of technology, starting with agriculture, and going to the storage of grain, and going to the manufacture of bread, and going to the creation of sewage systems that allow cities to become larger than a certain size. Because prior to efficient sewage systems, cities would die when they reached a certain concentration. And virtually, there's that word again, everything we're doing today comes from cities. And I don't actually see that. It was really popular for a few years to predict that was going to reverse, and that everything was going to be distributed. But actually, the ecological footprint of millions of people living in a very, very large city is better for the planet than having us spread out into the back of beyond, and that's actually not very good for us. So I think we're either headed back to the caves or to city Earth. Well, at Future Shop, basically, I had been. My friend Bruce Sterling, for a couple of years, had been sending me links to locative art and mapping art sites, and they were all very, very high-end conceptual, we're going to get tenure for this sites. And I wanted, it just wasn't the idea of what's going on with GPS and the rest of the digital system, and the idea that cyberspace is everting into the physical world, and that the distinction is disappearing. That's been central to my work. But just in terms of something that would jumpstart my book and give my characters exciting experiences, what I wanted was something more like locative art as executed by the people whose work is published in Juxtapose magazine. I wanted lowbrow locative art. I wanted locative art that's like the painting on the sides of vans. And when I thought about it, I thought it's probably not that difficult. It wouldn't be that difficult to do. You could probably go on eBay and buy the bits and pieces you need to do a simple little blended reality installation like that. Although I was saved just before this book was published by Cory Doctorow pointing out to me that you can't actually do GPS, you can't get GPS indoors. And that seemed to pose a terrible problem for my book. But then he suggested that you could do it if you piggybacked a system on top of the GPS system that triangulated location off the 3 nearest cell phone towers. So in the final edition of the book, that becomes a major part of what Bobby Chambo is really good at and what nobody else can do, and that's why everybody needs Bobby to get their digital art into galleries. Improved our lives in many ways in the last years, but has it made us better as human beings? Well, I don't know about the last years, but you know, everybody's teeth used to fall out. So like, you know, even like 50 years ago, dentists would routinely pull everybody's teeth. There really wasn't, they didn't have the technology. They didn't have the technology they needed to like keep teeth in people's heads. But has that made us better? I don't know. I mean, we could have really nice teeth and be evil, and I'm sure that lots of people with really nice teeth are evil sometimes. But I just don't look at technology that way. The biggest way I don't look at technology is I don't think it's technology as little electronic things that we bring home in boxes from Future Shop. And that's often the way we talk about it. A lot of the things that other people think of as culture, I recognize as technology. And I always like Brian Eno's definition of culture, and it's everything we do that we don't really need to do.